here. So I think we have reached our time, so we can start right now. Uh, Osman, how are you doing? I'm like, you are very popular in Bangladesh. Almost, yeah, almost everybody knows you who has joined this program. They know you personally. Some, and some saw you in the investment summit back in April, and also we got introduced at that time too. So it's a great honor, opportunity, pleasure for us to get you here today. And the topic is very interesting. That's how you impress international investor. A lot of Bangladeshi founders of, especially of our program, they have been looking for. They have been applying in Accelerating Asia program. They are trying for getting connected with international investors. So this is a very good time where we got you in today's session. So I will go straight to you. But before that, I would like to tell you a little bit about our program. The people actually joining to this program, they are all from Accelerating Bangladesh. Few are from outside. You know that we started our journey back in 2024, January. We run a little bit different style accelerator. You can call it a mass accelerator. So over last 18 months, we actually connected more than 1,050 founders across Bangladesh in all 8 divisions of Bangladesh. And we gave them we offered them a curriculum, in which curriculum we told them how you can start a business and you can make a scalable business model, turn it to a real good startup. So after that, we mentored them. We actually tell them how to implement the thesis of startup, knowledge of startup into real business. And then we also help them to build network with investors, build network with supply chain, forward and backward both way. So we try to make sure that they actually build a scalable startup from our program. So we actually shortlisted around 350 businesses, which we think they are scalable, maybe in 3 years of time. So we invited all those people today to join this session. And right now we can see 50 are here. I hope that few more will be joining soon, because today, right now, is 7 p.m. here in Bangladesh. So they actually more people are. We get more people in 8 p.m., 8:30 p.m. because.
Okay, sure.
But anyways, we are recording this event, so they will be having. They can see your this session later on when they are free. Okay, so I'll go straight to you, and if you could kindly introduce yourself. And as I said, the format, I shared you the format of today's program. In the very first 15 minutes, you can introduce yourself. You can ask people to introduce themselves if you want. Then the next half an hour, you can go for a linear lecture. You can share your slide if you have any, or you can go and talk about the topic in your way. Then 15 minutes, I will be asking a few questions that we actually received from our founders, and my questions that can help the people if you answer those questions. And then in the last 30 minutes, we'll let our audience to have their questions directly to you. And this is our 90 minutes plan. Okay.
Okay, great. I mean, I probably won't ask everybody to introduce themselves. There's 52 people, over 52 people. I don't think we would get through that all in the time. So I apologize if we avoid that. But I'm really humbled, honestly. I mean, I know lots of people will say that word, humbled, but sometimes I feel a little bit embarrassed when people say, "Oh, we know about you and we know what you do." And I'm thinking, I'm kind of just hoping that people realize that my only objective here is to help wherever I can, and try and build out people who I consider to be my brothers and sisters. So thank you actually for giving me time here. I really appreciate it. I'll just give you some background really around my journey into this particular arena. And I was working at an Australian telecom company called Telstra, and they ran a venture capital fund, and they also ran an incubator and an accelerator. Craig and Amra, who are the general partners of Accelerating Asia, they were running that program in Singapore. And I used to use their open hours to go and listen to what founders were pitching. I found it really interesting. I had no real interest in investing. I had no real interest in being an angel investor. And that was when I listened to a pitch by Afif, who runs ShopUp. And his company at that time just sounded amazing. It was like the mission that he had, the personal passion that he had, and the mission that he had was something that really stuck out. And that's when I actually approached Amra and I said, how does somebody invest in this type of startup? Do you need to be some kind of special, like ultra high net worth individual or something like that? And she just said, just go talk to Afif. You've listened to him pitch so many times. Why don't you just talk to him? So I had a long conversation with him over a number of weeks. And I then decided, okay, sure. I still don't understand how this investment process works, but I trusted Afif. I liked what he was doing, and I just treated this as something like, it sounds bizarre, but I felt like it was sadhka, like give something and hope that it brings some benefit to the people that he's trying to help. Because he was working with women in villages, trying to help them get their products to market on Facebook. Very different to what he's doing today. But at that time, that was what my intention was. My intention was that maybe this is going to help somebody. Maybe this is going to add some value. And if he can build a business off the back of this, then it's great. And everyone's a winner. I'll be happy. Maybe I'll make some money from this. But ultimately, he will take that investment, funnel it into his business, build that business up correctly. And the people that he's trying to help will benefit as well. So that was my ultimate intention. The other intention I had was that this would be cheaper than doing an MBA. Like, I don't know anything about investment. I don't know anything about angel investing or venture capital. The only way to learn for me personally is by doing. I can't read a book and then just think, okay, now I understand the theory. I had to do all the dumb things that most people will do when they don't know what they're doing. And that's exactly it. I was very lucky. Afif was a very honest man. He was very driven, and he built his business into something that, everyone can be really proud of. So if there's anybody that you should be thanking for the investment focus that Bangladesh has got, it should be Afif, not me, not any of the investors here. He's really been the beacon for many investors. Even now, when you look at some of the businesses that are coming through, when people are talking about Bangladesh, they'll say, where's the exit? Where's the real opportunity for an investor to make money? And then we just point at the ShopUp story and we say, this is what happened. And it's already happened. And now there's a clear path and an exit for investors, because the model has been proven. You can put money in, you can get something to grow, and these businesses are able to scale and grow outside of Bangladesh. And so it's no longer theoretical. Afif has done so many great things for you all in Bangladesh that I think if you see him, you should actually just give him a round of applause, or at least give him some additional level of respect. But yeah, I mean, since then, I learned a lot, and I've made some additional investments in places like Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Indonesia, and kept on growing. And I've met more and more founders over that journey. My connection with Accelerating Asia was very loose. It was never formal. It was always something that I knew Craig, I knew Amra, and they liked me, I liked them, and we just did things to help each other out. And obviously we were, I attended the very first startup Bangladesh event at the Intercon, and that went really well. I came with Amra. We attended a number of our portfolio companies. We visited them, and we got so much insight into the realities of the ground of Bangladesh. So much so we wanted to come again. And then there was a political crisis in Bangladesh, which meant that the event was cancelled and postponed. But I think the overall, I mean, a lot of people were approaching me during that period saying, what do you think is going to happen? And obviously, no one can predict anything like that, right? But me being Pakistani and not Bangladeshi, I've been seeing so many political crises in Pakistan, and business goes on as usual in Pakistan whenever there's a change of government and unplanned change of government. I was just saying this is going to be business as usual, if anything. People still need to eat, people still need to go to work and earn an income. So as much as people are upset and unhappy, life must go on, regardless of whether there's a functioning government or not. But as it shows, I mean, this is the one thing that always surprises me about Bangladesh is that it's bounced back, yes, and you've got what I would call a stable government, and that's given additional confidence back to all the additional founders and investors who were looking at that. So obviously there's caution now, but I don't think it's something that's insurmountable. I think it's something that people are still looking at the potential of Bangladesh and want to invest. So that's my background, and that's like my overall summary so far. I don't know whether you want to open that up for questions now, or should we just move on to general trends? Mohammed, you're on mute.
Oh yeah, we can have a discussion because you know that you are the right person. You understand that the way we understand. Okay, whatever happens in government, no matters. We have to keep working. So our economy goes on. All right. So it is sustainable itself in many ways, but foreign investments sometimes become difficult. As you have a very good understanding about South Asia. But a lot of European investors and even some Malaysian investors, I found that okay, they actually they got afraid when something like this happened, because when you listen to something from a very safe country and something happening in Bangladesh, so one single incident create a like fear in their mind. So that's sometimes actually keep them away from coming to Bangladesh, investing in Bangladesh. So there's lots of things like that actually. But for you, actually, as you know that Bangladesh, Pakistan, whatever happened, a lot of things happened over the last 50 years, but these economies kept running. So there is always way of making money here in these countries. Okay.
Yeah.
So my first question is that when you invested in Bangladesh, what was your plan I'm like, you definitely had an exit plan. Okay. So how did you plan for an exit before you invested, or you didn't plan for exit when you invested?
I'll tell you the truth. I had no idea what an exit was. When I say that I didn't know what I was doing and this was cheaper than an MBA, that was it. Very few people will admit to that. They will never admit to how stupid they were, and I was very stupid. That I was okay to put in $25,000 into a company and not know how I was even going to get my money back. It was one of those things where the reason why there's an additional influx of interest in investment is because I did take an exit. I did take an exit from Shopper, and I've been able to explain that to people. And so when I have founders wanting to talk to investors and they ask me, can you talk to this investor for me and explain to them how this works, I can walk them through my journey. And the journey was one where I was learning as I go along. My intention when I talk to anybody else now is don't make the mistakes that I made. I made a few, but generally speaking, this is how you will take an exit, and the exit is with incoming investors through a Series B. That was how I took the exit with ShopUp, and it was a method that worked, and it was very easy, especially for investors that are coming in from Singapore and from jurisdictions like that, where they're not sure how they get money into or out of Bangladesh. So that's their biggest concern. If I put money into Bangladesh, how am I going to get it out? Can I even get the money into Bangladesh? And I fix that like perception. I say you're not doing that. You're investing in the holding company, and these are the things that you do. And then when you take an exit, you are actually just selling your shareholding to another person taking over your equity stake. It's really straightforward. And when people hear that, they go, "Oh, I get that. I didn't get that when I when I first went through that problem, right? I had no idea. I was suffering from COVID in the UK at the time. I went home to visit my mum, and I had COVID, and I had an investor phoning me up saying, "Are you going to sell me your stake or not?" And I kept on saying, I'm in quarantine for 2 weeks. I can't get back to you. I can't give you the wet signature, which they were needed. I can't do that until I'm out of quarantine. So you're just going to have to wait. And then I went and met with my brother and got him to sign the share handover agreement. And that was that. And I just kind of like sent off the form and hoped that I would get a response eventually, which I did, and it was surprisingly easy. But the perception for foreign investors is this is a frontier market. It's very difficult, and it's really difficult actually. If you try and wire money into India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, there are so many capital controls in place by the state banks that you can't do it. You really can't. And then on top of that, all the documentation is in a language that's not friendly to foreign investors. So, am I going to read Bangla? I can't. I really can't do that. So, some of these documents that you see, they're written in a script that I would never be able to translate and do. So again, not friendly to foreign investors at all. So yeah, many of these discussions are really around how do you manage this exit. And unfortunately, I hate to break this persona that I've built, intentionally or unintentionally, but I really had no clue what I was doing, and I just learned as I went along. And that's why I always say I was very lucky that Afif was very honest. If he really wanted to, he could have ripped me off.
So I got it. I mean, like that's fine. That's all credit goes to Afif Bhai. So I mean, like, and the ShopUp team. So if I ask this question, I'm like, at that time, ShopUp was registered in Singapore. Am I right?
Yeah.
All right. So you actually bought a equity of a Singaporean company. All right. And then this company actually was able to expand outside Bangladesh, and it actually attracted international investors. And that's a place where you could have so yeah, that's how it worked. Yeah.
No, I mean, actually, when people were coming in to invest into Afif at the time, the international expansion wasn't even on the discussion.
Oh.
It was just about the scale and size of the Bangladesh opportunity that Afif was addressing. He did a great job of pitching Bangladesh as a nation, Bangladesh as a nation of young people, Bangladesh as a consumer-driven economy, internet penetration. He educated that market. If I talk to founders now, and I will say, like, first mover advantage is not really an advantage. You spend time educating the customer on why you are a great alternative to their traditional way of doing things. Once the first mover advantage is there, you've built out your case, and then the second mover doesn't even need to work hard to educate them. They just say, hey, I'm like the Uber of whatever. Everyone will say that I'm the Uber of this, I'm the Uber of that, and people will understand that model. But Uber, when they first came out, they had to explain, how their model worked, and people didn't believe it, and they needed to educate, they needed to like make an investment to encourage people to use their service. Afif's done that. He's done the education of the investor market to say, this is Bangladesh, this is what's capable of, this is where it's going to go. And so now new investors coming in have already been educated by other people, including Afif, on that. So all the founders here have got a relatively easier job to do because they no longer have to explain what Bangladesh is, what it's capable of. You're just telling them about your business. Afif had to do two jobs of selling his country and then selling his business. And so there were two elements there. Now I think you still talk about Bangladesh, but most people are quite understanding of the demographics of Bangladesh.
Okay, great. So there are 2 points for two. I'm like, number one, shop up. I'm
I think we've lost Mohammed. Or is it just me?
Hi, Osman. I think we lost him for a bit.
Okay.
Let's just wait. Yeah, he's back. Yeah.
okay. Sorry, I got disconnected. Probably
Sure.
my son actually he normally goes
Yeah.
and I'm like unplug the internet a lot of time. Okay. So Bangladesh, and also the about your business, how it's going to capture the whole market. So these are the two things that actually probably mainly attracted you to shop up. Am I right?
Yeah, I missed some of that, but yeah, it was really around his intention for the size of the market that he could address.
Okay.
I mean, when I was comparing the numbers, people were really, at that time, everything was Indonesia. Indonesia, 220 million people. It's such a big market. Everything's going to be great. Everything's a unicorn coming out of there. And then there was a thief saying, I'm Bangladesh. I've got a company that I can really do good things with, and people were going, yeah, but Indonesia, and that was the challenge that he had, right? And but when he explained it really well, and you just think, okay, this has got potential, but I really don't know how far that potential can be realized.
Okay. So this one business we talked about. So did you invest any other business in Bangladesh?
Yeah, I mean, quite a few. I mean, there are quite a few that have actually, some have gone international, some have moved and re-domiciled to Saudi. Since then, there are some which are doing okay. So there's a big mix. I think Marco Polo, for example, is the one that really jumps to mind. PrioShop is the other one that really sticks to mind as well. They're the two that I would actually say are the standout startups that, if I'm talking to people about current opportunities, they're the ones which I think have got the the founders' confidence. Where if I was to introduce a new investor to a founder from Bangladesh, I would introduce them to those two, because they both have the capability to articulate themselves really well in front of a foreign investor.
Okay. So that's two things that have. Is there anything else that you find, not about Bangladesh, but about all other countries and founders? What is the most important thing other than these two things, that telling about the market size and telling about the business potential? What other things that you consider inside a founder before investing?
I think that so in terms of what I'm looking at is just the team. the technical competency of a team, the operational competency of a team. Can they do both? Are there any gaps in that team? It's not just about the founder. It's about the team. I'll give you an example as well. Like when PrioShop was doing their demo day in Singapore, and I reflect on this, like what really stood out about and made me remember Asiko and his business was that on demo day, he brought quite a lot of his team with him. It wasn't just, hey, I'm the founder, let me tell you about my business. He said, I'm a founder, but here's my team.
Okay.
These are the people that are going to help execute this vision. And he's included them in right from day one, so that when you go to Bangladesh and you visit him, his team are there. His team, he wants you to meet his team. He wants you to actually walk alongside them and see what they're doing. So once you have that, you get a feeling of the operational excellence that they have. And this is something that we experience when we visit some of the founders. They will walk you through their sales team. They'll say, these are the salespeople, these are the accounting people, these are the people that are running our operational warehousing and things like that. Because it's not just the founder. And that's something that jumps out in terms of when you're looking at that. The other thing is that, I think maybe I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but when I'm talking to founders now and I'm saying, like, okay, tell me about your business, right? And, like, how much revenue did you make last month and the month before and the month before that? One, if they're not sure, then there's a problem. Like, how can you be on top of your business if you don't know how much money you made last month, or the month before, or the month before that? It should be something that you should be proud of, and you should be thinking, okay, I'm going to grow by 20% this month, and all of these numbers should be in your head, because this is what you're living and dreaming about. You're not just building your own business, but you're building a business that will sustain your own family. And if you don't know how much money you've made, how are you doing that? And then as a foreign investor specifically, I will say, okay, well, talk me through your revenue. And they'll say, okay, well, if they have the numbers, the ones which really suffer are the ones that go, I made 20 crore and I made this many lakh. And I'm Pakistani, and I know what crore and lakh are, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm just thinking, so how much is that? Can you just, like, 20 crore? What is that? Is that 20 million? Is it? Because I can't remember. Now think about somebody who's not Pakistani, not from South Asia, and you're talking to an American investor. Do they care what a crore is? They just want to know, how much did you make? And if they're having to do mental gymnastics to understand what you've made, you've already lost their attention. And the other thing is, it's like, oh, we made this much BDT. Well, I don't know what's the exchange rate for US dollar. Can you tell me that? Because you're asking me for a US dollar, but you're going to tell me how much you're making in Taka. And now I've got to get the calculator out, and I'm like, okay, let me convert that, and I'm not willing to give that person a chance, but most other investors won't. They'll just say, this is just too hard, and let me just move on. But if you can say, hey, I made $3,000 last month and I made 20% margin, okay, great. I already know that is something that I can build on. I think some people are a bit worried that in US dollar, the revenue number doesn't sound good, right? But actually, most investors are interested in your potential, not in what you're currently making. But if you're making it really hard for them to understand what you're making, they can't even begin to understand the potential, right? So you have to help them by, if you're going to talk to an international investor, look through all of your numbers, start talking in like tens, thousands, and hundreds of thousands, millions, and convert it all into US dollars, because that's what everyone seems to be using. And you're asking them for US dollars. You're not asking them for, I only want 1 lakh. or I want 20 lakh. Like, you're not asking them for that. You're saying, I want 25,000 or I want 250,000 in investment. And if you're willing to talk in that language for your money that you want from an investor, you should at least give them the courtesy of telling them how much money you're making in numbers that they understand. So that I think is, for me, it just seems kind of obvious, but the amount of times I've like jumped onto the call and I've had to get the calculator out to really understand, and that's wasting time. It's wasting time because you only have like 3 to 5 minutes to really make that impression, and you've already ruined it by making the person like get the calculator out and work it all out for themselves. Yeah.
Great. So I mean, like, you can, if you understand, that's like you have to be ready with the international numbers. So you have to tell your revenue in dollar and all of the things that actually make people understand. Any international investor would like to see in international figures, not in local figures. Okay, so that's what. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So that's very important. I'm like, I have like, we have a lot of startups here in our, I'm like, they make their pitch decks and where they actually put the numbers in BDT. So I think they should update in whenever you're sending it to, they do it probably, but I think that you should keep one slide that is in dollar always. And then if you're pitching to a Bangladeshi investor, go and show the BDT one. And when you're actually meeting an international investors, go with the dollar one. Okay, so that's very important, I guess. So you need to know the numbers very well. I'm like, as a founder, you need to know the numbers. Any number asked by the investor, you have to say almost, I'm like, instantly. Am I right? And
exactly. Yeah. I mean, they're going to ask for simple questions like customer acquisition cost, lifetime value, how long is a typical customer, what's your churn rate. If you're struggling with those numbers, it's an indicator that what metrics are you tracking to improve the health of your business. And most founders, the successful founders, are usually on top of that. They know those numbers and they can always tell you the reasons why the numbers might not look too good. Right, so they will be able to explain it as well. So those are the kind of things that we typically talk about. And then obviously, if it works well and you've made an impression, then the next thing is you should have something like a data room available. And it should be ready. It shouldn't be, let me get back to you next week and I'll set it all up for you. If you've lost a week, that investor will have spoken to another 20 companies in the meantime, right? Okay. And he's now, when you send him the link for your data room, he's going to think, who were they again and what were they doing? And I was interested in them. Let me go have a look. And by that time, you've already lost the momentum. So if you have your pitch deck ready and you have your pitch ready and the pitch has made an impact, why then ruin it by saying, okay, let me get back to you next week with a data room? You should have your data room and it should be constantly updated. Like every month you just update the numbers. And for your existing investors, and this is the key point, it's a good indicator for me, is I'll say, show me your investor report so far. Oh, we don't have one. Well, you've got some angel investors on your cap table, right? Yeah, we have. Then which reports are you sending out to them? Can you share them with me? Oh, yeah, we haven't sent anything out. Well, okay. Why would I give you money if you're never going to reply to any of my emails or give me an update of your business? Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a common, like a common courtesy thing. I've given you a gift. Are you going to then discard my gift and say I don't need to talk to this person anymore? Right? It's kind of it's an indicator of how disrespectful that person is. He's taken somebody's money and never spoken to that person again, never given them a formal report. the best founders are the ones who do a weekly or a monthly report to begin with, maybe monthly, maybe every quarter, and that founder will say, here are the ones which I sent out, and you can just access them all and have a look at them. And it will just be, even if it's a simple email to say, this month we made this much growth, and we did this, and we failed here, but we succeeded here. That tells me a lot about the mindset of the founder, that they're communicating well, so that when I invest, I'm hoping that I will continue to receive those updates and be included in that communication moving forward.
Great. Great. As I believe these etiquettes are not only for international investors. These actually help you to attract local investors too. So
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just etiquette for foreign investors. It's just etiquette. It's just the good polite manners that you should have. Yeah. If somebody's given you something, you should then at least be willing to say, this is my responsibility now. You've entrusted me with this. And then I will respond in kind. I will give you a clear understanding of what I'm doing with your money.
I already great. I got 5 things actually right now already. So there are lots of points here. Anybody here, please? Can you someone is actually not okay. Let me mute him. Okay. So first one is the market size, the potential of Bangladesh. Number 2 is your business potential, how you are capturing that market. Then number 3 is about your team. Number 4, you have to be very much aware of your numbers. And number 4 is communication with already who invested in. So you need to show a communication template, so which you'll be getting after investing with me. Am I right? So once you invest here, I'll be communicating with this information with you. So I'm already communicating with my investors this information every month or every week. And if you invest in my business, I'll be sharing this information with you. So it's outstanding. So I think we're learning. Definitely, we're gonna go back to our founders and tell them to create this communication template already. Okay. So my question right now, I have 5 things. So do you want to add anything else? And these are 5 etiquettes or norms that you have to. Anything else that you want to add up? No.
For the moment, no. I think that's a lot to take in. I think.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, I could add a whole bunch more, but let's keep it simple for the moment, and we'll take it.
Okay, then before I go to my participants having the questions, already people are asking questions. Some have sent me on text. Some actually are sending comments. So before that, I want to go and ask you a few macro level questions. For example, if you are planning to invest in Bangladesh, so do you have any industry preference right now? Any sector, any industry that you like more than other?
I wouldn't say any that I like more than others, but there are some which I just kind of shy away from. HR tech, I don't like personally. I think it creates more problems than they solve. So yeah, when somebody says, "Hey, we're a HR tech business," then yeah, I'm not that enamored. Okay. And it's not because I think it's a bad vertical. It's just that I don't really have that much feeling for it. So it's very personal. There are loads of good HR tech companies out there doing great things, and they get acquired and they have like great paths to acquisition. So yeah, I don't doubt them. Yeah, I mean education tech as well. All of them are really crowded markets, and I don't feel that I can really understand the market. But I've got friends who really anything education tech, they know that it can go and explode massively, so they want in. But that's personally not for me. But generally speaking, I'm open to having a look at all industries because I'm curious. That's my bad habit, I think. I've never looked at this industry before. Let me find out, and let the founder educate me on that.
Cool. Then if have you ever listened to pitch of someone who is not registered in Singapore or Malaysia or UAE, solely registered in Bangladesh, uh, no international registration? So have you ever listened to some pitches like that?
Yeah, we do. We do. I mean, it's not a reason to not talk to a founder, but
Okay.
if you're going to invest, that would be a prerequisite.
Prerequisite. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So
So, I mean, we'll still have the conversation, but to complete an investment, you would want to make sure that that is a conditions precedent. If I'm to give you the money, you need to domicile your holding company and set it up properly with either a US Delaware C Corp or a European company or a Singapore company. Those are the types of things which are kind of mandatory now, I think.
okay. So I'm like, so you have to register in somewhere actually you feel better. So do you actually have a specific preference? What type of, which country do you actually prefer people, founders to register their business? Singapore?
Yeah, I mean, I'm based in Singapore, so I'm going to say Singapore, but actually, yeah, Singapore, US, the US is fine. I think
Malaysia?
those two are fine. Malaysia,
Yeah.
not so much. No, no. It would be Singapore. If it's going to be in Asia, it would be Singapore.
Singapore. Okay.
Australia at a stretch, but
Okay.
really, if it was going to be anywhere in Asia, it would be Singapore.
All right. Okay. So Singapore. Okay, fine. So, for example, someone who has not registered yet, but you liked them, you think that you want to invest here. So then, would you tell them to register in Singapore? Okay. So that's the way you do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would. I would say go ahead and do that. It's just a matter of preference as well. Like I have that confidence with Singapore, but others will have a preference for someone else. I think somebody just asked the question, what about I got distracted a little bit because somebody said, what about Dubai? Dubai is perfectly reasonable as a jurisdiction to invest in, for sure. And you've got to know your investor as well. Like, where are you looking for your investors? If you're looking at MENA as a market and you're looking to grow in that direction, then definitely go and domicile in Dubai, because the investors there trust their own market, and Dubai is a good enough place. The only reason why I tend not to go to Dubai and I'm not that bothered about it is because even though they claim that it's really easy to set up a business in Dubai, I don't think it is.
But not. Mhm.
Yeah. Everyone claims it's like, oh, so easy and so business friendly. I don't think so. I mean, everywhere in the world is difficult for setting up bank accounts, but actually registering an entity, Singapore, you can set one up in 15 minutes. Whereas all online, you don't even need to come to the country to do it. Whereas if I talk to somebody in Dubai, they go, oh, for this type of business, you need to register in this free zone and you need to do that. As soon as they're telling me that, I'm thinking it's already a lot harder than Singapore. Singapore, they just say, tell us the name of your business, register here, get your credit card out, or get like a debit card and pay the amount that you need, and you'll set up, you have a registered entity. Or you can get a corporate secretary to do it for you, and it costs more, but they'll have it still set up within a day.
Okay. Great. I'll go to our found participants soon, but my last question: what the Bangladesh government should do, like the investment board or anywhere, whatever the government department is, what should they do for international investors to have the confidence to invest in companies that are registered in Bangladesh? not registered anywhere outside?
I mean, it's difficult, and I don't. And this isn't controversial. I mean, I'm speaking from somebody who's Pakistani as well, and the stability of every country. If somebody came to power today and said, we're going to remove all capital controls, we're going to allow you to invest directly in the company here in Bangladesh, you can be a registered shareholder, that's fine. But then what happens in 4 years' time or in 3 years' time when like there's a military coup and something takes over, the rules will change. And then how do I get my money out? People don't want to have that. So I think the government should be perfectly comfortable with this kind of setup because you're still getting foreign direct investment. I mean, it's just through a holding entity. Those companies are still funneling money back in. But for international investor confidence, you do need to allow these types of holding structures and patterns to exist because, you know, as much as some people might say, well, I'm a patriot and I'm disappointed that you don't trust my country enough. This is the nature of how it is on the ground at the moment. You could have one government operating very well for 4 years and then in the fifth year, you get somebody else coming in and saying, no, we're not doing that anymore. You know, we're patriotic. We don't want this foreign money and, you know, we're going to do our own thing. And so people are aware of that. And so I think just deal with the realities on the ground. What's pragmatic? The pragmatic way is to kind of encourage this type of holding structure. And then on top of that, enforce the rule of law. You know, if an investor feels that he's been wronged, what's his recourse within Bangladesh? If it means that, you know, everything is weighted against the foreigner, then you don't want to be investing in that country. And this is a reason why Singapore is considered to be pretty fair, because their judicial system is very transparent. Sometimes it's harsh, sometimes it's a bit lopsided, but in general, it's considered to be fair. You can predict what the outcome will be if you have to go to court. You understand where you are. You can employ the lawyers, and you can trust in the process. Is what I'm trying to say. Whereas Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Cambodia, Thailand. I mean, we've all been to Thailand, and they give you documents. If you go to a police station to say your wallet's been stolen, they give you a document in Thai and they expect you to sign it. You don't know what you're signing. If you think that's a problem for Thailand, think about the foreign investor coming to Bangladesh and having to sign something else, right? It's the same issue.
Yeah, that happened in Bangladesh few days earlier. One of my co-founders is Canadian. So he lost his phone. He went to a police station, and there is no way as a foreigner you can do a diary, get on diary. There's no. You have to be a local. So there is no method of a foreigner. I mean, like reporting in the police in Bangladesh. So that's problematic. So, but if I talk about Malaysia, you know that I have seen that it's not easy to get money out of Malaysia too. But a lot of people go and invest in Malaysia. And the reason I believe that Malaysia has opened this investor visa or something like that, when you're not getting the money out, but you as an investor, you as a person, you're comfortable to keep your money here in Malaysia and spend there or do business there. So this is what they're doing, and they're actually attracting a lot of foreign capital. So is it good for, because I have been talking to different government bodies, and I want this thing to open, like investor visa or passport to the people who are investing a certain amount of money in Bangladesh, so that I'm like, at least you can have this I'm like privilege of a citizen, opening bank account, using your money inside the country, or taking as much as that are allowed for a Bangladeshi national to outside Bangladesh. So do you think this can help giving a passport to a person who is investing like $1 million, $2 million, or something like that, a threshold figure? Okay, anything that can be.
If you've got $1 million and you're going to invest it in Malaysia, think I mean, just think about this logically. Why does a person with $1 million want to invest in Malaysia? It's often not just because of a business opportunity, but because of a lifestyle opportunity that it gives them.
Okay.
They can buy a property, they can go live there, they can go live in like one of the nice islands in Malaysia, Penang or Langkawi, and they can have a holiday home there, and they afford all of those rights to them because they're an investor. So it's not just about the investment, it's about the lifestyle that they have and the rights that they have within that country. Within Bangladesh, I mean, you need to then translate that. Would you encourage, like, a person who's got $1 million to invest, would they want to live in Dhaka? When
No,
they
I'm
have
like, they probably would not be living in Dhaka, but the thing is that there are lots of people who want to diversify because
they
that
do, they do, but the reason why Malaysia is enticing that is because there is a lifestyle element to what they're offering.
just pure diversification. I'm saying not just, I'm just pure diversification.
I mean,
Because,
but pure diversification, yeah, I think if they were just looking at that, then why not? But then your question is what are you offering in return for that? Because you've got the currency risk. I mean, the Malaysian currency has depreciated in value as well recently, over the past few years. So there's always that question of, if I put $1 million into this country, I mean, what am I getting in return? Am I able to then pull out the equivalent at the right valuation in the future? And there are other locations where you can do that and get a good return without doing anything, just by putting the money into a bank account in that country.
Yeah, I was thinking that, okay, fine, but I know that there are lots of people who would not like to live in Bangladesh, but I have seen people investing in Egypt, people investing in West Indies. Those countries are like, in terms of living standard, not very high, but again, a lot of people are they have too much money, so they want to just go and put. That if you put $1 million in Bangladesh and you know about Bangladesh, you can get 10 times from here, because there are lots of export opportunities from Bangladesh, where there's very, very nice legal way of making money for foreigners in Bangladesh, but we don't know, because we have seen only startup scene. The startups are like the businesses that don't give you the right way of making money here. I mean, like, the lots of international investors who invested in Bangladeshi garments factories, we don't know about them, but I have an idea about them. So,
I mean, but the people that would be investing in that type of business are already in that industry. I very, very much would be surprised if somebody, random guy who's made his money in like Nvidia chips, decides to come to Bangladesh and say, "Hey, I want to do ready-made garments."
I know that.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, right? But and they don't know anything about it. They don't know anything about how to run a factory, and if they were to invest in a company that does that, there's also the other issues that you have around, like, okay, now I've got my money in here. Ask yourself this question: why companies like Zara, for example, will send their own people, H&M will send their people to observe the factories? Because there is a reputational risk involved in putting money into these countries and then trying to maintain a good reputation in their domestic market, right? Are they encouraging indentured servitude and things like that? And that's the reason why they put so many checks and balances into their supply chain. And a foreign investor who knows nothing about that will not know, and eventually will get caught out. So yeah, there are lots of things that can be done. They're all potential and they're all real, but then they're not practical, I don't think.
All right. Okay. So no more discussion on that one. So thank you. I'll go straight to the questions of our. So one question I will be asking on behalf of one of the participants. So he asked me that they are currently in third stage of cohort 12 at Accelerating Asia. Could you kindly request Osman to share his valuable suggestions for them? Okay, so what should they do? What should they stick to? Yeah.
Hey, look, you've been doing it really well so far. If you've got to a third stage, whatever you're doing is right. Now, the only thing you have to do is just make sure that your messaging is clear. That be very clear about what differentiates you from just normal businesses, from your competition. Really focus on what makes you very different, and that what makes you scale. Um, give a vision of where this business can go to. What is your reasonable target, and what's your stretch target? Um, you only have in so just to explain to everybody else on this call, these selection processes, they look like they're very rushed for people because we do a 10-minute call and that's it, right? And then for the next round we do a 15-minute call and we cut it very short. Why? Because I'm talking to maybe 10 companies at the same time, one after the other, after the other, after the other, and I'm literally going through them quickly. There's some logic to that. If a founder is doing the right thing, they will stand out amongst those 10 that I've had a conversation with, right? And they're able to then just get their message out in that short period of time. They don't ramble, they don't keep on going on about other things. If a question is about customer acquisition costs, you answer the question and you don't go, well, let me tell you about Bangladesh and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we don't need to know that. We asked you a question about customer acquisition cost. So that's the reason why the selection process is very tight, very short, and we do so many different calls because other people will ask the same type of questions. And whoever's in the third round has already done a very good job to get there because we had 700 applications to begin with, and we will only select 10, maximum 10. So if you're already at the third round, you've already gone past the first, the first 300 have already been eliminated. Then it's like 400 and then 500. We're getting down to the final few. So just keep on doing what you're doing and just be prepared. Be focused on the question that you've been asked. Don't ramble. Get to the point, and elicit feedback if you can. Even if it's not verbal feedback, you can see from the person that you're talking to whether they're frustrated with your answer. If they have to ask the same question 3 times, you definitely need to fix that. So yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think you heard that. Next, Mahmoud Hassan, you raised your hand, so if you can ask your question, please.
First of all, thank you, Usman, for being here with us. It's a great pleasure to join the session. I think in Bangladesh, most founders know about 2 international important guys, one is you and other is Rajshah. It's really a pleasing moment for us that we are here. Among players and speakers, we are building Kobil, a matrimonial matchmaking platform for Bangladesh.
I don't know if it's just me, but I can't hear.
Oh,
I can't hear it.
Heavy raining here.
Could you ask your question, Mahmoud? Could you ask your question?
Okay, we just reached 13,000 download on Play Store, and in just 3 months we started earning revenue. Most of it just $300 last month. Most are subscription price. I just added some context because I want to ask you how far we are from getting accepted into Accelerator Nation.
Well, I mean,
let me ask you the question. Okay, so I got it. Okay. I know him actually. He is actually running a matrimonial app that's called Kobul.com. Kobul. He actually probably, how much did it cost? Few days earlier, you wanted to buy your domain, like it cost around $1,000, yeah?
Nearly $2,000.
$2,000. He bought his domain few days earlier at $2,000. Now he started his app. Now he has 3,000 subscribers. Yeah, am I right? 3,000. 13,000 subscribers, and you had a revenue of like how much in monthly right now? $300.
13,000 user, not subscriber.
User. Okay, how many subscribers do you have right now?
We have 100 subscribers.
And how much do you earn in revenue?
In last month, we have earned 300 euros.
Right. So that's a matrimonial app in Bangladesh that has 13,000 user, 100 subscription, $300 revenue. What do you think? Should they go to Singapore and register?
I mean, it's really hard with just what you've told me, but I think I need to address the other elephant in the room. If you're meeting foreign investors and I can't hear what you're saying, this is probably one of the reasons why you're not getting that far with your discussion. I don't mean this to sound quite flippant, but I couldn't hear anything that you said. So this is something that you just need to fix as a very basic thing. I know that the internet's bad, and I know that, you know, we all have those issues, but if you're gonna want to articulate your message, you're losing it already through the fact that your microphone doesn't work that well, you know, and you're already not even turning on your video. So, you know, those are the things which you need to fix just at a very basic level before we even talk about your business. Because as any investor will say, I don't know what he just told me. Great. Can you go talk to someone else? And I don't mean that I really honestly don't mean that in a bad way, but those are the kind of issues that we have. And if I'm talking to 10 other startups and you happen to be in my selection process and I couldn't understand what you were saying, I'm probably going to remember somebody else rather than you.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds unfair, but unfortunately that's how it is when you're trying to compete with 10 other people.
All right, Mahmoud, you got it. So next time, open your video, and if the internet is having problem, just go send your message. Okay, I think that'll be fine. So yeah, sending a text would be very good.
Make sure that your audio is working. I mean, this sounds like you've got a microphone issue on your laptop. Get a good microphone and deal with that. Find somewhere quiet to talk, if you can. I understand in Bangladesh it's always noisy everywhere you go, but yeah, you need to put yourself in the best possible light before you even start to say, hey, let me show you my pitch deck.
Okay, great. So, but now the thing about the business, you're not done yet. the Kabul.com, the matrimonial site. What do you think about matrimonial sites business? I mean, have you ever seen any pitch deck that's related to these kind of things?
I mean, you see them quite often from different countries as well. India, Pakistan, this is a common thing. It's a common problem. But is it appealing to the mass market for investment? Usually not, mainly because it's a problem that only appeals to people that are coming from South Asia and the Middle East, matrimonial. So Muzmatch is like the most popular one. And people who are looking at this space will understand that market, but the bulk of your investors won't understand this market, and therefore, because they don't understand it, will probably say, I'm going to pass. And as an investor who understands this market, I'm going to say, how can I get 20 other investors to agree with me and come in and invest with you? So that's usually why it doesn't go that well. And this goes back to the point, well, I didn't make this point, but I think I should make it now. When you're talking to investors, understand who they are, right? If you're not asking who your investor is, and you just heard, oh, this is an investor, let me pitch my business to them. But maybe they're not into, like, you know, dating apps. Maybe they think it's ethically incorrect and they don't want to do that, right? They're already immediately saying no. If you're at a stage where you're just too early, right? So let's say, did you mention, I think it worked out to be less than 1% conversion rate for the number of registered users. So some will say that's too low. That doesn't show traction. That doesn't show the ability to scale. So all of those things you've got to understand. If the investor is interested in your segment, are they interested in your geography? Are they interested in your ability to scale and grow? Now, the only people that you would really want to talk to is go have a look at the people who have invested in Muzmatch. Go find out who's invested in Match.com or the equivalent of that, or in Bumble. They're the two people that you should be talking to, because they understand your market really well. And then the question you should be asking, do you invest in this early stage, or do you need me to get more traction and come back to you when I've got, let's say, a valuation potentially of $1 million? Is that what you're going to come back to me? Because some VCs and some investors will be writing checks of $1 million or more. And if your value of your company is like 100,000, they're never going to write a check to you. So why are you talking to them?
Okay.
You know, so there are those things that you need to realistically assess. Is this investor for me? And are they deploying cash? And the easiest way to find that out is, how old is their fund? If their fund is older than 5 years, there's a good chance they're not deploying any cash anyway, right? So you don't need to talk to them. And if they've never invested in a company similar to yours, then forget it. I mean, then you're going to have a hard time. Go look at the Indian startups that are doing something similar, and then say, who's invested in them? Have a look on Crunchbase and find out. And then you go and approach them and say, hey, you invested in this company. By the way, my market is so much bigger and more receptive to this, and I've got better conversion rate. And you focus on your capability, and then you go ahead and target that. There's no point talking to all of these other investors if they're never going to be interested in your market or your segment.
Great. Mohammed got your $1 million tips. I'm like, this is what you have to do, actually. I think that's what you should do, actually. And I think most of other people, other founders, this is a very, very important point, because you know that someone who understands your market should already have invested somewhere, okay? And they know that if they invest in you, how much they can get. And also they will quickly get your understand your business, and also they can help you to grow too, okay? So
Yeah.
that's how it works, okay?
Mohammed, I'm going to have to finish in about 5 minutes. Is that okay?
Sure, that's great. I'll take one more question. Mizan, please. And Tarif is there also. So Tarif is here. Let me pin Tarif here also. 5 more minutes.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, you're audible, yeah.
Thank you so much, Arif bhai. Thank you so much. And my question is to Osman. What are the most common mistake you have seen early stage startup make, especially in South Asia region?
The most common mistakes. I don't think there's a common mistake. I think the ones that I've mentioned already, like, talking about, not being clear about what your differentiator is, not being clear about your currency, not being clear about your numbers. They're all the common mistakes that all founders have when they're talking to any investor, let alone foreign investors, just a regular investor. They're the most common mistakes. I mean, there aren't any that are unique to Bangladesh. South Asian investors, I think it's mainly around not being able to understand what the motivation is for a foreign investor. All investors want, as much as you want them to believe in your business, you've also got to understand that they want to have an opportunity to make money. This is how it is. This is, as they say in Star Wars, this is the way. They want to make money, and you have to have that in your mind, that if an investor is coming in, you have to think, what's in it for them? You have to really think about, why are they investing? If they're going to give you $10,000, $100,000, why? Do they just like to throw their money around? Of course not. They want you to build your business, they want you to be successful, and they want you to give them a return. Yeah, and And sometimes, you know, I've overheard like a founder say, "Oh, we don't need advice. We just want your money," which is fine. Like I don't actually have all the time in the world to give you advice either. But if you're really just looking after the money, then go to a bank. You know, then you can take all the money you want. But if you can't get it from the bank, then you have to deal with the person that's giving you the money, and you have to understand why are they giving you that money. If I give you $1, I want $10 back minimum. Otherwise, why would I take the risk? Think about that. I can put money in the bank here and get, for every dollar, I could probably get a 7% return. And if all you're going to offer me is like a, you know, something like that, why would I put my money at risk? I want you to give me a 10 times return at the very least. And I want you to do it quickly. Yeah, as much as we all talk about, we will be patient and will allow you 10 years to grow your business. Most investors want a quick return if they can. They want you to build and scale your business so fast that an opportunity comes along that other investors are too busy saying, let me buy Osman out. Let me take his share. I want in on this business. And then I can get that return. Otherwise, I will keep my money in the bank. I don't need to give it to you. There's no obligation for me to give my gift that's in custody from me. If we're all Muslim here, right, we all know that the wealth is given to you as a gift, right? And it's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I'm not just going to give it away, because that gift is given to me and I've got to be a custodian of it. And if I give it to you, then you're the custodian of it, and you have to grow it. You have to build it in a halal way, and then you have to return something to me, right? But I'm not just going to throw it away, because that's like being disrespectful to the person who's given me the gift, being disrespectful to the people who've worked hard to give me that gift. So this is something that you also have to have in mind as well, that you need to ask yourself, what is in it for this investor? I'm now working for that investor too, and I need to return him something. If all you're trying to do is just take the money, then ethically you have a problem. And this will come out if you've got an ethical problem here. Like if you can't understand that, most investors will be able to look at that and say, yeah, this person, I don't want to trust him. And on top of that, you're going to make it harder for everybody else on this call, because they're obviously trying to get the right type of money from the right investor, and they have the right mindset. But if you don't, then all you're doing is making it hard for everyone else, because these investors will look at this and say, you know, they're just after money, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I summarize that, so you have to show your sincerity, and also you have to show the plan, how you're going to give back, and very concrete plan. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay. Cool. So I think we don't have that much time. So yeah, so Osman also already wants to have leave. One more question. Can you take just
Sure.
one per? Shahin Shamrat, please. Shamrat bhai, please. Can you quickly ask your question?
All right. Good evening from First Generation, Mr. Osman and Arif Bhai. So my question is to Mr. Osman, that how does the acceptance rate of being a solo founder compared to the multiple founder companies, especially even like the Accelerating Asia or YC?
Yeah, I mean, there is a bias towards, you know, a bias against solo founders, right? It's true. You're on your own. You're building this, but if you can demonstrate that you are the person that will see this through thick and thin, then sure, go ahead. But often people want to look at co-founders. Like, do you work well as a team? Because it shows another element of the personality trait. Can you work well with others? Because when your business gets bigger, what do you need? You can't keep on being a solo founder when you've grown your business. You're going to have to hire people. You're going to have people working for you, working alongside you. And if you can't treat those people right, which is often a worry of solo founders, that they operate on their own, they don't get on well with others, and therefore by default you might not be able to grow your business and scale it, right? So those are the big problems that you have with solo founders. There's no demonstrable capability that you can scale and grow your business and work with other people, right? Whereas what you're doing with a co-founder is that you're very clear. This is a person I've worked with. I've known him for 10 years. I've got good friendship and relationship with him. You're already communicating to the market that, hey, people like me. They like working with me, and if I grow, my ego's not big enough that my co-founder will keep my ego in check, and we'll grow this business. We'll employ people. We'll make them successful. Look at Asical. He has a co-founder, and admittedly, it's his wife. But the fact that that's a risk in itself. But when he came to introduce us to his team, that also gave a very good indication. Here I am with my team. I'm treating them well. I know I can't survive without them. Let me introduce you to them. It tells you everything about this man in terms of how he wants to build his business. He wants to build it with other people. He wants to grow it, and he wants to distribute the wealth evenly as well. That's the other thing, which is kind of a soft feel. But you say, I'm going to grow my business. These people are going to get wealthy off the work that we put in together. So solo founders have their challenges. I'm not saying that all of them are bad or that we look at them negatively, but when you have a co-founder, you demonstrate some social worth.
Okay, great.
Yeah, thank you.
That was a nice answer. And so Tarif is here. Tarif, say hi to Osman Bhai. Tarif, Bhai, are you there?
Hi, bhai, thank you so much. Just a quick chip in. Osman, thank you so very much for taking the time today. We are really, really grateful. Giving your precious time to accelerating Bangladesh P-stage startups. I'm so happy that finally we brought you here for them. That's one. I have a very quick question. Can just hold myself to ask that to you. Some of our founders who have already doing good, getting revenues, getting some funds. So they are also coming to the track of being a mentor. So what is your suggestion for these startup founders to be a great mentor for the early stage startups? And that will also help me as well.
Sorry, I got distracted there. What was the question?
I'm like some of the mentors, some of the founders getting from pre-seed to revenue. So they're making money now. Now they are becoming mentors. So I'm like, do you have any suggestion? How should they mentor the pre-seed startups? Yeah.
I mean, just make sure that they don't make the mistakes that you made, right? You will have made mistakes. You're not perfect, right? Just as much as when I started out, I said I made mistakes and I wanted other people not to do that. I tell people the mistakes that I made, even if it makes me look stupid. Do that, because that's the only way you can educate people.
All right, great. So that was a nice thing. I don't know how much you learned, guys. I have learned a lot of things. Thank you, Osman. So it's a great session for me too. Okay, so we'll be in touch soon. Thank you again. Thank you, everybody. So if you all have a last 1 minute to everybody, you can end in your way. Okay, Osman. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Have a good evening. Bye-bye. Good evening, everyone. Bye-bye. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Star Founders, for joining this session.
Thank you.
Arif bhai,